This is very important to us because we participated in the previous constitution for very few and privileged people. But now, for us, it's really beneficial. I never in my life did I think that the government would consider the older population and give us $200 Bolivianos. I'm from the city, so for me it's a small help. But for the campesinos, because we shouldn't just think of us, but the campesinos that have never received anything, they harvest the potatoes, and we used to bargain with them. For 10 Bolivians here in La Paz, for them it's really a great help. I am not a weight for my daughter. Now I have 200 Bolivians for my basic necessities. Did you ever imagine that an indigenous peasant could accomplish the things that Evo Morales has? No, not really. But you can see he is a great patriot because he feels for his people and his homeland. No, he's not a businessman, not just thinking of his own interests. He is not buying houses in Miami. He doesn't do that. Only thinking of helping his people. Especially because he lived his childhood in the countryside. He knows about hunger, cold, and rejection. He has been through many things.
So when Evo was elected, it was a huge victory, but that wasn't enough. He wanted to refound the country. And so I was there when the Constituent Assembly opened, and it was amazing. Like 40% of the delegates to the Constituent Assembly were women. 70% were indigenous. 70% reflecting the population. It was an amazing thing to see. And when it opened was the Marcha de la Puebla, and just the most incredible display of there's 34 different indigenous groups in Bolivia, and they were all out in all their regalia. And it was just an incredible experience.
Por primera vez en la historia se ha conducido esta constitución por una mujer indígena recién, y de esa manera he podido conducir el primer programa que tú ves para aquellos partidos de la oposición para ellos era un delito.
Then it was a crime to have a native woman leading the assembly. First they observed that I'm not professional. Secondly, that I am a peasant woman. I have been able to put together this constitution under the responsibility of the Bolivian people. Just the Constitutional Assembly, but together with the rural and urban social movement and all the social sectors and institutions, all of them have been able to participate in the creation of this Constitution. So each of the sectors presented their proposals. We could create the articles of the Constitution. We had the meetings in different departments and regions of Bolivia. In this way, everybody participated. Prefects, civic committees, social organizations, civic authorities, and the civilian society of Bolivia. So everybody has participated. There were severe threats against me, against the constituents. Members have been beaten, mistreated, and even threatened to burn us alive. Despite this, we are not afraid. Evidently, they have good reason, because we affect the interests of the rich. And the interests of the traditional parties have been stealing all our natural resources, and that now under this government we are recuperating.
The values that the people of Bolivia, the indigenous people of Bolivia have, are values that we can learn a lot from. We're saying, what are the lessons? And one of the most central values is that happiness, my happiness, is based on the fact that everyone in my community has what they need. I'm happy if everyone in my community has what they need. It's kind of the opposite of neoliberalism. It's an idea of happiness based on communal good, not based on individual achievement or individual good, but on communal good. And I see this, I saw how they were playing this out in all the decisions that they were making. There's also the idea of reciprocity, of giving and receiving. So when they decided to nationalize the hydrocarbon industry, they basically told the multinationals, you've been taking 85% of the profits out of the country, stealing from our people, this is our wealth. We're prepared to let you stay, but we'll take 85% of the profit, and you can have 82%, and you can have 18%. And if you don't agree to that, we'll give you 6 months to think about it, then you can just leave, and we'll expropriate it. And I thought at the time, oh yeah, this is never going to happen, you know, like, it's kind of cool, the idea, but it's not going to happen. And sure enough, because they are so clear and so firm, they all agreed to it. All the multinationals agreed to it. And they nationalized. And now the Bolivian people are getting 85% of the profits out of their own natural wealth.
I'm truly thankful that today, the President recognizes the value of women. Today we have 5 women as ministers. President of the National Assembly is a woman. Today in the new Constitution, everything is 50-50, half and half. This is a great advance for our fundamental rights. The project of the new Constitution recognizes women's work in the home, and this work must be compensated. For women, this is a great achievement. It doesn't just give the possibility of education, it also recognizes our most fundamental rights and needs. In healthcare, maternity leave. Bolivia and the Bolivian women are very happy to have this new constitution. That's why we support these times of change. Jalala brothers in Canada, long live Bolivia, long live our free and sovereign homeland.
The other thing that really struck me was the idea of equality that they have. I call it radical equality. And this was explained to me by David Chiquihuanca, who's the foreign policy, and this is another, I love the Bolivian sense of humor and sense of symbolism. So they appointed to be the foreign minister, David Chiquihuanca, who speaks no other language, who's never been outside of Bolivia, but who is the best expert in indigenous culture. And so therefore their best ambassador to the rest of the world. And David Chiquihuanca said to me, the problem with your democracy is that you believe in the submission of the minority to the majority. We don't believe in that. We believe that everyone is equal, and hopefully, and maybe in the slides you saw the Wipala. Do we have a Wipala here? No. The Wipala is the flag of the indigenous movement. Ah, there it is. Thank you. The Wipala is the flag. So he pointed out to me that the Wipala is square, and each square is equal. Each different color is equal, and that is our symbolism that everyone is equal, every group in society is equal, and every group has to participate equally. And that's the symbolism of the square. And so they work by consensus. They have a very sophisticated form of consensus. They work by consensus, and in the new constitution, which is now passed, after 2 years of struggle, after the right began to organize, first through an autonomy referendum, then through violence, including the slaughter of
25 indigenous people.